Bob Burns, our Carolinas PGA president, called me. I was working from home on a Friday, and he gave me the news, and I went silent for a while, and it was extremely emotional to me.
I was so happy for him because I don't think anybody's more deserving in the golf business than Zach.
He always gave lessons, was always out playing. I mean, he did so much, and then, being very active in the community.
I've been in the golf business since 1982. Got in the golf business and working at Hillendale Golf Course for my mentor, Luke Veazey, who is also a Hall of Fame inductee. Was a assistant professional with him for 6 years. I grew up at Hillendale Golf Course. It was it was my little playground. I started playing golf. I was introduced to the game by my dad, who pretty good player in his own right. He dropped me off at Hillendale Golf Course, as did my mom, and that's where I actually spent most of my years.
Zach was a mentor. I looked at him as somebody that showed me kind of what I thought golf professionals should be, as far as, he played, he gave lessons, but I also learned the business side, like learning to operate a business and how that related and how that made you more valuable as a golf professional, as well as the other three kind of main components of teaching and playing and then running a business, which were, are key importance to us being where we are in this industry and, having the jobs that we have.
I think it's well documented that Zach has served on many committees with the PGA of America, whether it's section, national level, often as the chairperson. The service to the community, winning multiple Merchandiser of the Year awards, both at the section and national level. I think these things in and of themselves warrant being in the CPGA Hall of Fame. But to me, it's Zach's, it's what we see on a daily basis with Zach, his eagerness to invest in everybody, listen to everybody, provide empathy and direct feedback. I think one thing that's unique about Zach is no matter how short on time he is, whether he has a meeting in 5 or 10 minutes, if you walk in his office, he takes his glasses off and shuts his laptop and genuinely listens to you. And I think that's what's one of his greatest traits.
Very fortunate that I had another mentor in that respect of my professional career in Ed Ibargwin. Ed pushed me. Ed said, "Hey, look, you would be fabulous at this, and get involved and run for office." And I took that challenge on, and to this day I really appreciate Ed giving me that push, because it meant a lot to me. And by virtue of doing that and going through the chairs of the Carolinas PGA and then serving on the national board, I look back and I think, my goodness, you look at what you accomplished and it pales in comparison to what it is that you learned. It doesn't even come close. One of my passions, I think, as much as anything, I realized early on that playing the game of golf as a golf professional, as a PGA member, was going to be something that I enjoyed, but it was going to be that icing on the cake for me.
And Zach was a big surprise, primarily because he was left-handed. Now this, you got to think back, this has been a long, long time ago, and you didn't have many left-handed golfers. This was well before Mickelson and all those came along. But that wasn't it. But he was a nice red-headed young man that had a great personality, and we really liked him. But what I liked most of all, I think, about Zach was no matter what he shot, and he played in, I guess he played in all the matches. He was that good. But no matter what he shot, you couldn't tell. He was kind of like Phil Mickelson. You couldn't tell that Zach had had a bad day. And his disposition was great. The most I liked about Zach was his intelligence.
But I mean, his service to the section, to his fellow members, to the national membership, serving on the section board for I don't know how many years, working up as a board member, and then ultimately through the officers and president, past president, and then serving as District 10 director on the national board, and serving on, I know, at least one search committee for national executive director search and things like that, giving back to his membership in those ways, but then also operating the businesses that he has. I mean, being at Hillendale, successful as that was, always being a top 100 golf shop, being a 2-time national merchandise of the year winner, in the public category, and then I don't know how many section awards he got for that, and then now operating, helping operate Global Golf, moving into that industry. And
my current company in Global Value Commerce, it was founded on bringing some organization, if you will, to the secondary market in pre-owned golf equipment, and that was really the genesis and our core competency. But I associate that back to what we were doing at Hillendale Golf Course back in the day. I mean, that was something we were doing back in the 80s, and taking trades and having a price book. Now, it might have been written on the back of a spiral notebook rather than being delivered in a digital format as you see it today on PGA Value Guide. But again, that's just a tie back to the type of experience that I was so fortunate to have garnered in working with Mr. Veazey back in that time. It was such a common sense approach, but yet at the same token, really forward thinking. If you think about the things that we did, and kind of how to make people feel very, very welcome. I mean, today you can read articles in many golf publications that suggest that, hey, you're not in the golf business, you're in the entertainment business, and you'll hear things such as discretionary income and discretionary time. Well, I learned that from him in the early 80s, and it would have gone along the lines of something like this: boys, you ain't in the golf business, you're in the people business, you're in the fun business. So doesn't matter if you had a bad day, you come here and you put a smile on your face because people want to come here and have a good time. And I learned those types of things, my goodness, back in the early 80s, as I said, and it's applied to what it is that I do today as well. I remember as he was retiring in 1988, he called me into his office, and out of a little wax-covered Coca-Cola paper cup, we both had a shot of Jack Daniels, and he said to me, "You know what? It's December, I think it was the middle of December or something like that. We just did $1 million in sales in our golf shop, and I have never seen anybody more proud in my life to have taken that shot of Jack Daniels." And I was, at the time, I just drank a little beer, I choked it down, but it was a moment that I'll never forget. We fast forward a couple years later, and I invited him into what was now my office, and we took a very similar cup, and we took the same Jack Daniels that he had probably left in the drawer of that desk that was now mine, and probably had not been touched since that day, and we toasted, and I said, "You know what, boss? Our golf shop just did a couple $1 million in sales," and I think he was as, if not more, proud of that particular toast than the one that we had done a couple years earlier.
Yeah, Zach has influenced me, from when I was a teenager working at Hillendale, watching from a distance how he conducted himself as a PGA professional. He always made the person in front of him, the customer in front of him, feel like the most important person. And he always takes that time to do so. And so when I became a PGA professional and worked at a club, I wanted to emulate him and do the same things.
I think that honesty is important. I think that Zach was a very honest person. I think business-wise, I think he was intelligent in his business dealings. I like that. I like honesty. I think that not to be a player a pro player, that he was really great as far as being the kind of pro that I would like to have running a golf shop for me, and that is in dealing with other people, as well as dealing honestly in the business, but dealing with other people. Zach was good at dealing with other people.
This is my 40th year in the golf business, and you can honestly look back and say, well, did that just really happen over the last 40 years? I mean, being a PGA golf professional and being in the golf business has allowed me to operate the very facility that I was so fortunate to have as my little personal playground when I was growing up. It allowed me to work in a game that I so passionately loved. How many guys or gals can go and operate a golf course and your dad's there 4 or 5 days a week? How many guys get to take their dad with them to the office? And I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to do that. A place where I could making a living for my girls, and they could come and hang out as well. They don't play a lot of golf. They're fashionistas and probably didn't want to perspire too much, but they enjoyed hanging out, and was fortunate to have them around the golf course as well. It has afforded me the opportunity to travel and go places that people just don't have access to be invited to Pebble Beach, as an example, to play golf, just because one of the OEMs that you're so fortunate to have a partnership with appreciated that partnership. Or sit down and have dinner with Ben Hogan and listen to him talk about the 1-iron shot. And he was contemplating hitting a 4-wood instead of a 1-iron and what was going through his mind. I mean, you just don't have the opportunity to do that. But all of that aside, I think at the end of the day, it's really just to have the opportunity to make a difference in people's lives. People choose to play golf because that's where they want to have fun. And for them to choose you, to teach them the game, from which to buy their equipment, their place to play golf, for them to choose you to be their coach and their mentor through their journey of the game of golf. It's just something that you can never take for granted, and something I have always appreciated for every one of those customers who chose me, my assistants, and my companies to do just that. The friendships that you develop over the course of time, they're friendships you don't necessarily see those guys every day, but when you do, you pick it right back up, just like you were long lost brothers, and that's something that means a tremendous amount to me. And so being on that list is just amazing. It's amazing to me, and I hope that as others look back at it in the future, they'll look at that plaque and look at my name and say, you know what, did okay. Very nice career in the golf business, and gave time back to the Carolinas PGA and the PGA of America, and for that I am truly thankful and grateful to have had that opportunity.